The sun dipped low over Sunset Pines, a quiet retirement community where I, Tom Harrigan, had hoped to spend my golden years in peace. After 30 years grinding away in a steel mill, I'd earned my slice of the American dream: a modest home, good neighbors, and the freedom to enjoy my retirement. For 15 years, that's exactly what I got. But last spring, everything changed when Victor Langston rolled into our neighborhood, his sleek black SUV and tailored suits screaming big city arrogance. He wasn't here to settle down, he was here to take over. Langston wasted no time. At the Homeowners Association meeting, he flashed a polished smile and talked about GIVYing back with professional management. What he didn't mention was how he'd already secured proxy votes from snowbirds wintering in Florida. Before we could blink, he'd strong-armed his way into the HOA presidency through a loophole none of us saw coming. The changes hit like a freight train, a 35-fan tram hike in monthly fees for improvements that never materialized, followed by the arrival of his enforcers, his twin nephews, ex-military types with buzz cuts and scowls that could curdle milk. He dubbed them compliance officers, gave them embroidered polo shirts, and let them roam the neighborhood like they owned it. I wasn't exactly Langston's favorite resident. 3 years earlier, I'd rallied the community to block an illegal special assessment from the pre-VYS board. Folks around here started calling me the Sentinel of Sunset Pines, behind my back, but to me, it was just about doing right by my neighbors. When Langston took over, the tension was thick. At meetings, he'd fix me with a cold stare from his seat at the head of the community center table, tapping his fancy pen like a judge passing sentence. Mr. Harrigan, he sneered after one heated debate over new landscaping rules. Some people just don't fit in a community like ours. Maybe a different levying arrangement would suit you better. The threat hung in the air, sharp and unmistakable. Then came the letter. Official HOA letterhead, bold red text, mandatory special assessment, due la 10,000. My knees buckled as I read it at my kitchen table. Supposedly for critical infrastructure upgrades. The full amount was due in 30 days, or we'd face late fees, penalties, and property liens. On my fixed retirement income, it might as well have been $1 million. The fine print was a gut punch: 22-fan tram annual interest on unpaid balances, with the HOA reserving the right to foreclose after 90 days. I wasn't just angry, I was livid, my hands shaking as I pictured my neighbors, mostly retirees like me, staring down financial ruin. The emergency meeting was chaos. Every chair was filled, with seniors lining the walls, their faces etched with fear. I stepped to the microphone, the assessment notice crumpled in my fist. I fought for this country, I said, locking eyes with Langston. Carried my brothers through the jungles of Vietnam. I won't let you steal our life SAVYNGS with this scam. I held up documents showing nearby communities paid a fraction for similar projects. I demanded to know why no contractor bids were sought, why there was no transparency. The room erupted in applause, but Langston just smirked and cut my mic. The assessment is lawful, he said coolly. Payment plans are available with interest, of course. Next speaker. Afterward, my neighbor Mike Callahan, another Vietnam vet, pulled me aside. This is bigger than you think, Tom, he whispered, slipping me a folder. His daughter worked at the county records office, and she'd uncovered something chilling. Langston's investment group had just formed an LLC called Sunset Pines Redevelopment Partners. Their plan? Luxury condos where our homes now stood. I spent that night poring over the documents. Langston wasn't just a corporate hotshot. His group specialized in seizing communities by creating financial distress. Step 1. Take over the HOA. Step 2. Impose crippling assessments. Step 3. Foreclose on those who couldn't pay and snap up their properties at auction. The due law 10,000 wasn't for infrastructure, it was a weapon to force us out. Because I knew HOA law and wasn't afraid to speak up, I became Langston's primary target. Soon after I started questioning the assessment at neighborhood gatherings, things got ugly. A credit review flagged my property as financially unstable, despite my mortgage being paid off years ago. Standard procedure for non-compliant residents, Langston said with a smug grin when I confronted him. Then my bank called about suspicious activity. Had tried to access my retirement accounts, freezing my SAVYNGS. Their investigation traced the attempt to an IP address at the HOA office. At the next board meeting, when I presented evidence of this harassment, Langston cut my mic again. "Your time's up, Harrigan," he said. "Focus on paying your dues instead of stirring trouble." This wasn't just about money, Anna Maria, it was psychological warfare. I knew I needed legal help and public attention to fight back. Renting out my guest house would cover the cost of an HOA fraud attorney Mike had recommended. That night, as if by fate, my phone rang. "Tom, it's Eddie from 3rd Battalion," said a voice I hadn't heard in decades. Eddie and I had fought side by side in Vietnam, brothers in arms bound by time that never fades. "I've got a friend who needs a quiet place to stay," he said. "He's working on a project about community corruption and heard about your fight. He's got the resources to shine a light on this, but he needs privacy. Too many people would recognize him." I didn't hesitate. I needed all the help I could get. Langston's spies must have caught wind of my plan. Within 48 hours of signing the rental agreement, an envelope arrived with photos of me meeting the attorney and copies of my private financial records. A handwritten note read, "Fighting this will cost more than paying. Sell now while you still have equity." That night, my security system pinged. Footage showed Langston's nephews, dressed in black, slipping a document into my mailbox, expedited foreclosure proceedings, dated for the next day. But I had an ace up my sleeve, a hidden camera I'd installed in the community center after our last clash. The footage showed Langston with developers, spreading out plans labeled Sunset Pines Luxury Condominiums, Phase 1. This wasn't just about my home, it was about erasing our entire community. When I called Mike to share the evidence, his voice was taut. "They're moving faster, Tom. 3 more seniors got foreclosure notices today, all people who questioned the assessment. My daughter found rezoning permits they've already filed. The timing couldn't have been worse. My son's military unit was being honored at a ceremony that weekend, and I'd promised to attend." With the foreclosure hearing looming, I confided in my mysterious tenant through the guest house door, still respecting his privacy. "Don't worry," he said, his voice oddly familiar. "I'll make sure you're heard at that hearing. I've dealt with corporate bullies my whole life, brother." Halfway through my son's ceremony, my phone lit up with notifications, videos, news links, and texts from neighbors. Mike's message stopped me cold. "You won't believe what happened at the courthouse. Your friend changed everything. Get home now." The flight back was torture, my mind racing. When my taxi pulled into Sunset Pines, I saw neighbors gathered on lawns, some laughing, others waving American flags. It looked like a celebration. Monday morning, my doorbell camera caught Langston's full intimidation squad, him in his designer suit, his nephews in their HOA polos, a lawyer with a briefcase, and 2 security guards with hands near their belts. "Mr. Harrigan," Langston barked through the speaker, "we're here for the inspection and your final EVY tie-in notice. Open the door, or we'll document your noncompliance." They thought I was hiding inside, but I was still away. Then the guest house door swung open. A towering figure emerged, moving with a grace that belied his size. Broad shoulders strained a red and yellow shirt, blonde hair tied back with a red bandana. As he approached my front door, Langston stepped back, his nephews froze, and the guards shifted nervously. The door flew open, and there stood 6 feet 7 inches of American legend Randy, the Titan, Malone, wrestling icon, his 24-inch arms flexing as he planted his hands on his hips. "Well, well, well," his voice boomed, shaking the neighborhood. "Looks like some pencil-necked bureaucrats think they own this street." Langston tried to hold his ground. "We're here on official HOA business. This property is in violation." "The only violation," Malone cut in, stepping forward as the group recoiled, "is against the American way. The only thing getting evicted today is your abuse of power, brother." He pulled out his phone, aiming it at them. "Smile for my 20 million followers. Titan Mania's about to run wild on you financial predators." They scattered like roaches, tires squealing as they fled. Malone's laughter echoed down the street. When I stepped out to join him, I could barely speak. "You're Randy Malone?" He grinned, his iconic mustache twitching. "In the flesh, brother. Your friend Eddie said you needed backup against these corporate vultures." "Over iced tea on my deck," he explained. Malone had quietly funded legal defenses for seniors targeted by predatory schemes, driven by his own parents' near loss to a similar scam. When Eddie told him about Sunset Pines, he recognized the playbook instantly. He'd already seen my EVY Denke and spotted something I'd missed. Langston's company had been sued in 3 states for identical schemes, always settling quietly. Malone's courthouse appearance, filmed for his documentary American Heroes, had gone viral, drawing national media to our fight. By afternoon, neighbors were crowding my driveway, sharing stories of harassment as Malone signed autographs. His plan was bold, a live-stream town hall for his millions of followers to expose Langston's scheme. The community center overflowed with residents, local and national media buzzing outside. Langston tried to ban cameras, but the crowd just laughed. When Malone entered, draped in an American flag, the room exploded. "I'm not here as a celebrity," he thundered, "but as a citizen." For 20 minutes, he wove our HOA nightmare into a battle for American freedom, sharing residents' stories of intimidation. Then came the bombshell. His forensic accountant had traced the HOA's funds. Not a dime had gone to improvements, every cent funneled through shell companies to Langston's group. Leaked emails revealed their plan. The DULA 10,000 assessment was designed to bankrupt 40 fan tram of us, letting them buy our homes for pennies once rezoning passed. The room turned electric, chants of "Vote them out!" rising. Malone called for a vote, and Langston's board was ousted unanimously. His nephews, cornered outside, stammered apologies. Malone loomed over them. "Community Ser VYC or face me in the ring, punks!" They chose Ser VYC. A new board, veterans and longtime residents like Mike and his wife, Claire, was elected, passing term limits and transparency rules on the spot. The celebration, dubbed Freedom Fest, spilled into the weekend. Wrestling stars made surprise appearances, local businesses donated food, and kids ran around in Titan Mania shirts. A new charter ensured no assessment could exceed 5 fan tram of the prior year's budget without unanimous consent. I was named community mediator, a role I never expected but embraced. Malone's departure was pure theater, his flag-draped speech from a picnic table going viral. "When tyranny knocks, Americans stand together. It's not about muscles, it's about conviction." Langston's assets were frozen, the DULA 10,000 assessment refunded with interest. 3 neighboring communities ousted their corrupt HOAs, inspired by our fight. A statewide investigation into similar schemes followed, and the financial accountability movement we sparked spread nationwide. I still live in my mortgage-free home, surrounded by neighbors who've become family. When corporate predators come for your American dream, sometimes it takes a larger-than-life icon to remind them, seniors aren't prey theory, the backbone of this nation.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.